Welcome to Ask the Tech Coach, brought to you by the TeacherCast Educational Network. If you are in charge of professional development and looking to build an innovative digital learning experience, this is the podcast for you. Join us each week as we uncover strategies that tech coaches are using to drive their digital transformations one classroom at a time. And now for your host, with over 2 decades of experience working with tech coaches and ed tech companies from all around the world, Jeff Bradbury.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us today and making TeacherCast your home for professional development. This is Ask the Tech Coach podcast, episode number 166, and today we are talking all about District Snapshots. That is right. Today we're going to be heading up District Snapshots. We have a great lineup of topics that we're going to be hitting today, and if you've never taken a snapshot of your district, you're going to want to wait till the end of this show. We're going to give you all the resources and talk to you a little bit about some of the things that you might be wanting to do as we head into our school district and maybe even plan for next year. Before we get into all that stuff, I want to bring on my co-host, Miss Susan Vincent. Sue, how are you today? Welcome to Ask the Tech Coach.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, everybody. Nice to be back. It is November. Can you believe it? Man.
It is November. The weather has gotten cold as we're sitting here recording this. It is 30 degrees outside in the great northeast of Connecticut. And Sue, I am having a great week. For those of you who have been following TeacherCast, for those of you who have been following things with the family, the Edu triplets this week have turned 8 years old.
Happy birthday, triplets.
Happy birthday, triplets. They are doing well. They're having fun. We are all reading Harry Potter, and it's amazing. We've had a chance this weekend to kind of go to Legoland and regroup, and 8 years old.
Wow.
Pretty much.
They've almost grown up with TeacherCast.
Absolutely. We're 10 years, so yeah, TeacherCast begat the triplets. But what's going on with you, Sue? How's everything in your coaching world?
Oh, just busy. Like you said, it's getting cold down here in Kentucky. We're hitting 20s in the nighttime, but coaching-wise, we're, keeping our heads above water and, surviving the fall and, on the downhill slide of the first semester of the school year.
I think everyone's feeling it that way. I walked into my building the other day and I just stopped at a teacher and said, are we still in the first marking period? And she's like, yeah, we're getting to the end of this. Like, we got conferences coming up and things like that. And we want to know where you guys are after one marking period. What does your coaching program look like? How are you doing? We've got a lot of great ways to connect with you guys. Of course, you can find us on askthetechcoach.com, where you can find all of our podcasts, our blog posts, our free giveaways, lots of great stuff for coaches over there. And you can even sign up for our free membership site, our TeacherCast Tech Coaches Network. We have over 350 instructional coaches all coming together each and every week. We do monthly meetings. We do different topics. We have, different conversation things that we pop out. It is a really good group. And if you are out there listening to this and you're interested in being a part of a family of instructional coaches, doesn't matter if you're a reading coach, math coach, tech coach, any kind of coach, we are here to support you guys. Check out the TeacherCast Tech Coaches Network today. You can find all the information and sign up for free over at askthetechcoach.com. I hope you guys have a chance to do all that stuff. Today, we have a fantastic topic, don't we, Sue?
Yes, all about creating a district snapshot. Now, this all has to do with a project you've been working on. And we gave a beginning overview in last week's episode. Jeff, tell us what you're working on.
I hope you guys have a chance to check out last week's episode number 164, all about, really it was over this project that I'm working on. Right now, I am working on an internship project for my administrative certificate up in Connecticut. And really what I've decided to do for this project is to deep dive into 2 topics. The first one is, how do you create an instructional coaching program? Many of us listening here are in an instructional coaching program. Maybe you're one coach of many, maybe you're many coaches altogether. But what makes up that program? And the second thing that I'm going to be deep diving in is, how do you know the value of that program? How do you know that your coach is raising student achievement? How do you know that the interactions between coach and teacher are really working right? It's hard to know that answer. And
Yes.
sometimes you don't know that answer for a couple weeks. Sometimes you don't know that answer for a couple years. You just turn around and go,
Absolutely.
oh, this is all happening because we've had an instructional coach. So both of those things put together, we are working on a series of shows over the next few weeks here on this very podcast, really to support this project. So if you head on over to askthetechcoach.com, you're going to see a ton of blog posts all about creating a brand for your instructional coaching program. How do you create a logo? How do you create a bunch of different things? Today, we're going to talk all about District Snapshots. And this is really the first step in a 12-step program that I designed, talking all about how to create what's called an EdTech integration plan. Your EdTech integration plan basically is that roadmap. Sue, I would assume for your school district, you have a strategic plan that your upper administration put together, signed off by the board, signed off by the superintendent, and said, this is what we're looking for.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Or some of you may know it as a school improvement plan. CSIP is another acronym you hear. So yes, all those terms come together to make this roadmap.
So if your district has a strategic plan that says in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, this is what we want to achieve, my question to you is, do you have a plan that gets you from point A to point B? I call that an EdTech integration plan. And I call it that because really, if you're going to say in 2 years, you're going to be 1-to-1, or in 3 years, you're going to be future ready, or in 4 years, you're going to be whatever that goal is, the plan is going to be, how can the coaches support this initiative? What does it look like? How do you create it? How does it work? And the plan that we're going to be discussing over the next few weeks goes through a series of steps. It goes through creating a needs assessment. It goes through breaking down your school district to figure out what the different positions are, your teachers, your office workers, your principals, your you name it. What do they need? How do we give it to them? What are the different topics? Making lesson plans, making recommendations. We're going to go through an entire 12-step program to help you guys figure out how to do this. But Sue, every journey begins with a single step, and that's where we are today with a district snapshot conversation.
Absolutely. You have to, think of this as, you have, when you work on any project or a strategic plan, you have a before picture and an after picture, even a craft project or a home improvement. So think of this as your before picture or your now picture. And then down the road, you're going to have the after picture when you get the plan all created and see improvements and such. So you have to start somewhere, and that's your district snapshot. So Jeff, what is the definition? What does that even mean, a district snapshot?
Your district snapshot is basically a overview of two things. It's where you are, and it's who you are, right? So it really is that first opportunity. Once you have your strategic plan, again, let's just say my plan in 5 years is to be 1-to-1 and future ready, right? How are we going to get there? Well, we first need to know where we've been. We need to know what worked. We need to know what hasn't worked. We need to know what are the different components. So basically, when I say a snapshot, it's like it's finding the pieces of the puzzle. We're not yet putting the puzzle together, but we're saying, look, I need some corner pieces. I need some edge pieces. I need some red pieces, some blue pieces, what are the different components of our district? Now, we come from different backgrounds here. Yours is a private school. I have a public school. Right. Yours is a smaller district. I've got 20 buildings, 14,000 people. But if you would, Sue, in a quick 30 seconds or less here, how would you describe your district?
4 campuses or 3 campuses with open-minded teachers who are ready to learn, willing to move forward. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I need to get them there? I'm going to create this plan that they are going to be Google certified in 2 years.
And that's really what it is. It's like, once you know what you are, like for me, it would be, I have 20 some buildings. I have K to this, but we're broken down into K to 5 buildings, maybe a K to 8 building. We have middle schools that are somewhere in the middle. We have a high school. We've got all like, this is who we are. It's really the look in the mirror, right? And out of this, we're going to create questions, just like, I don't want to say random questions, but a series of questions, right? So we're going to come up with like, what are our needs? We're not answering that question yet, but we're just throwing all of these things at the table. We're basically coming up with, what do we want the journey to be, right? So what are the areas of needs of my district? What are the areas of needs of my building? What are the areas of needs of our departments? What is this thing that we call our school district? But it really comes down to who's having these conversations, right? So
Right. So, like, how are you going, as you're starting to collect that data, what form, how does this data start coming together to make that snapshot work for you?
right. And I believe that a district snapshot, being that it's the first step in this long process, should have some key members on the committee. And then I say committee because really when you're putting together a snapshot, so you and I can do this right now for our district. If we did,
Yes.
does it hold any water?
No, because it's just going to come from us, and they don't always, I mean, we can talk till we're blue in the face, but once we get other people involved under our wing supporting what we're saying, that's when we move forward.
It is something like this whole process has to be something that a district owns. I've done these 12 steps before with other school districts. I've consulted with other school districts. I've led ISTE sessions and FETC sessions on this topic. This whole entire process needs to be owned by the district, which means it needs to be championed, Sue, by the
teachers, the staff, the parents, the students,
and the
head, all the way up to the top.
and the superintendent. Exactly. And so all of these things that we do needs to be championed. Like the superintendent needs to sit there and go, this is who we are. We know where we're going, but this
Yes.
is where we are. And so that's where all these questions are being created. I definitely think the people that need to be in these focus groups is the superintendent, your curriculum lead, your technology lead, definitely you as the coach, maybe a teacher representative from every department or building. And the process for creating this snapshot could be 1 or 2 meetings. It could also be 3 or 4 meetings. It's certainly not a year project, right? This is
Absolutely.
the first step in this thing, right? But you should be formulating a group that's a representative of the thing. And it's a matter of creating what these focus questions are going to be that you're going to be needing to answer.
Right. So you have all these people together now that you've gathered up who are big, important stakeholders. And I think that's going to be the heart of starting to create that snapshot. So what do you do to go about that now and creating that question?
You have to have these discussions, right? Everybody's going to bring in their own way. Like I might ask you, the coach, how do you see us meeting the needs of our strategic plan? I might ask the technology director, how do you see ourselves meeting the needs? I might ask the curriculum people, how do you see us meeting the needs? Because you're all going to come at this from different ways. At the end of this process, you should have some kind of a document. Doesn't have to be the most formal thing in the world, but you should have some kind of a document that says this is who we are and this is the mission that we're on. This is the roadmap, right? So
Yes.
I call that formulating your focus questions, not your vision statements, not your mission statement. And we're going to learn in 3 or 4 weeks from now what your essential question is. But really, what are your focus questions? I'll give you an example here. One focus question might be, in what areas of my school district is instructional technology being used efficiently? Well, if I had that, I might need to go find the answer. That's where the journey happens.
Absolutely.
Another example of a focus question might be, in what areas of my school district is instructional coaching being seen as successful, right? In my district, we have 7 coaches. We've got 20 buildings. Some are doing better than others. Let's spend some time examining what's working, what's not working, and figure out why. That's part of the journey. Another one here is there a correlation between the amount of technology funding provided to a school building and the amount of professional development being provided? Sue, we talk about this often, right? A principal spends $1 million on computers, but nobody knows how to use it.
So we've have all these questions. This is not where we're going to start talking about solutions yet, though, right?
No, but this is where we're trying to find the focus, right?
Right.
The focus of our plan, right? If we want to be future ready in 2 to 3 years, we know that we need to be raising student achievement. So what is going to be a focal question? Is it about technology use in the classroom? Is it going to be about coaching with students and teachers and what that's going to look like? Is it going to be, what are we doing with all this hardware that we're putting together? Is it going to be, what's the impact of community relations, pandemic relations, all those things? What is the focal points of all of that stuff? And you can certainly have more than one focus question coming out of this process. You might have one per department.
So it's what do we want to accomplish, not yet how we want to accomplish. That's going to come
correct
in future.
Because
parts.
the question, if this is making any sense to anybody out there, the question, or what we're going to be calling the essential question, that's going to happen in step number 3 of this process. So come back at episode 167 or 168. I can't do the math right now. So
We'll get there.
But all of these things are in here, right? We want to make sure we have a district overview. We want to make sure we have our mission and visions, our strategic plans, our profile, our history. We want to be able to collect our demographics, maybe an equity study, knowing about our student population, any funding that we have. I've got other examples here, like where's the Wi-Fi coverage in the community? It's hard to say we're going to be future ready if you suddenly take a step back and go, well, 3/4 of our district is low Wi-Fi. How can we be future ready if not everybody has internet connectivity? So that's where this snapshot is important, right?
So at the most basic level, this snapshot is just the process of collecting the data that you have in your hand now and getting it all in the same spot so that you can go establish those essential questions later.
Yes. And we didn't talk yet about the 2 most important things that we want to collect. The first one is, what does the staff want? We know that our strategic plan probably includes some feedback and some help and support from, certified staff members, but overall it is a district document that is created by and ratified by administration. What does the staff want? Right? Because let's say the district says future ready in 2 to 3 years. Well, the staff doesn't know what that means. The staff just might say, I need more whiteboards. I need more smart boards. I need more this, right? Now you're going to come in and go, I need to train them on this.
Yes.
And that's another step down the road. But what does the staff want? The staff might not be saying the word future ready, but they might be saying, I want to see this from my students. So sometimes, Sue, it's just a matter of figuring out the right vocabulary. But even when you bring in staff interests, I don't think that's the most important one. I think the last and the most important one here is gathering the community interests, right? After all,
yes,
we are the stewards of the community. Does the community want us to be future ready in 2 years? And the answer is yes, because you voted for it on the strategic plan. Mm-hmm. So if that's what the community wants, the community needs to come up and say, this is how we're going to support them getting there. And
absolutely,
maybe that's going to be, down the road, maybe that's funding, maybe that's support, maybe that's community engagement and involvement and parent universities and all that other good stuff. We're going to talk all about that over the next few weeks. But Sue, I want to just take a quick pause and if anybody out there has any questions about this, or if anybody out there is listening and going, what the heck are they talking about? Please let us know. This is such an important topic, something that we've been talking about a few times on this show over the last 165 episodes, and we really are starting to dive deep into these different topics. But we would love to hear from you guys. If this is something of interest to you, Sue and I would love to work with you, help you guys out, meet with your administrators, We are here to do this, and this is just so important.
And we've been through these processes
and
before.
we've been through these processes now. Like I said, I've had the opportunity to work with dozens of school districts now on this, both as a clinician and as a consultant. And we're going through this in my own district in our own way, and it is a process, and it does take some time. But the number one thing, as we said earlier, you need is district buy-in. They have to own that this is the mission that we're on. You can't just show them, look at my work, and that's the end of the story.
Yeah, in fact, we've had a meeting on this day that we're recording it, my curriculum team, going over our part of, we call it the school improvement plan, but it's exactly what we're talking about. And we were taking that snapshot today of where we are in the areas of assessment, where we are in the areas of these various other things.
We want to hear from you guys. Reach out to us on Ask the Tech Coach. You can find us on Twitter at Ask the Tech Coach. You can go to AskTheTechCoach.com. We would love to hear from you guys. And I hope that if this is interesting, I hope that you guys hit that like and subscribe button. We are here to help you guys out. What happens next? That's the question, right? What happens next after all of this stuff is done? Well, we know that this is the first step of a 12-step journey. Next week, we're going to be talking about your end game. And no, Sue, I'm not referring to Thanos on this one here.
Oh, come on.
The first step, as we've been discussing all show here, is gathering those pieces, figuring out what we are and who we're all that good stuff.
What we're all about.
Our next step we call defining your end game. And that's basically coming together and saying, when this is all done, we want a document that says, we want a report that says, we need to show these things. So if the beginning is taking that first step, the next step is defining the journey that you want to be on.
How are you going to get yourself there?
Well, what is it going to look like when you get there?
Okay. What is the end? So we've still got that end in mind.
We always have the end in mind, right?
Isn't that one of those 7 habits of highly effective people?
We have a lot of those. So step number 1, creating the snapshot. Step number 2 is defining what the final step is going to look like. 3 is where we talk about how we're going to get there. And that's your essential question. So join us for all these things. Like I said, 12 steps. We're going to deep dive into all of this stuff. And in the middle of all this, we are going to be throwing a lot of bonus episodes of this episode. We got some great guests coming up. We got some great topics coming up. Social emotional learning is going to be running wild in this podcast a couple weeks from now. We just did a great bonus episode last week featuring Jessica Peck, all about her book called Movie Making in the Classroom with our friends at ISTE Books. So lots of great stuff going on in this show. I hope you guys have a chance to check it out and interact with us. Please take a moment to head on over to AskTheTechCoach.com. Sign up for our free membership site, our TeacherCast Tech Coaches Network. It doesn't matter if you're a tech coach, instructional coach, or whatever your district calls you, reading, math, theater. We're all here for you. Sue, this is such an important topic. I'm so glad that we had a chance to work on this together.
Yes,
what is some of the things that you're looking forward to this week now that you've celebrated the Edge of Triplets' birthday?
Oh, yes. Just lots of things coming up with our teachers and getting ready for Thanksgiving. We're diving into new instruction on my YouTube channel. To stay tuned, and I've been deep diving into Google Keep lately. I've always been a Google Keep user ever since it's come out, but I've been deep diving into that on my YouTube channel and trying to pass that along to my teachers. A lot of my teachers are coming on board, so they're excited about different ways to use that.
That is so awesome. On TeacherCast, we've also been deep diving into document cameras. We partnered with a great company called OkiCam, all about OkiCams and document cameras and things like that. So check out all that stuff. We'll be putting that in our newsletter. But I hope you guys had a chance to check this out. Like and subscribe and share this with your friends. We are Ask the Tech Coach. My name is Jeff Bradbury and Sue Vincent. Sue, where's your social media stuff? Feel free to plug everything you got there.
Look for me over on Twitter at SV314DWS, my YouTube channel, and my website at techimaginations.net.
And I hope you guys have a chance to do all that stuff. On behalf of Sue and everybody here in the TeacherCast Educational Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury. Keep up the great work in your classrooms and continue sharing your passions with your students.
You've been listening to Ask the Tech Coach, hosted by Jeff Bradbury of the TeacherCast Educational Network. Please reach out to the show with all of your questions on Twitter at AskTheTechCoach or online at www.askthetechcoach.com. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And please take a moment to write a review in the App Store.